campaign, as it is now, as it was, knows that they need to think about treating the Bernie people a little better.
Well, and I totally agree, and I have been intentional. And I did the same thing on the bus when I was coming in with the group that's from Georgia. They're my friends, and my district is heavy Bernie, and a lot of my friends are leaders in the Bernie camp here in Atlanta and other places. Killer Mike's he's my mentee.
Yeah. Killer Mike's in your district?
Yeah. Well, he's a good friend.
I just interviewed him a couple days ago.
Yeah, he's like, he's younger than I am, but he's a good guy.
Like so many rappers are like, they talk about horseshit.
No, but he knows what he's talking about.
He's sharp. It is music.
I'd like to ask you a question. I'd really like to get your perspective.
Okay, and I'll come back to your thing. Okay, go ahead. Let me finish hers and then I'll...
please,
okay.
I didn't realize.
All right, so I think the point about feeling disenfranchised is honest and fair. Because what has happened is we brought 13 million people to the table and put a solid agenda. Although it might be hard to do in the short term, it's a solid agenda that speaks to issues that have not been addressed in our country. So I think these things need to be done.
Make us feel like it's lip service and not. I'm not saying that it is.
I was going to go deep on. Let me just finish disenfranchised. So when when I was growing up, I played Little League football, and when I lost, I would be dejected, but I still care. And the last thing you want to see is the other team chiding you and not kind of saying, "Hey, good game." Okay, so that's number one. And there are some people who I think I agree. They're older, they've forgotten who they are, where they came from, what they were like when they were young and 18. Is that the South? You want South? Yeah, we want South. But they've forgotten who they are. And when you were in the 60s, what were you doing? It's a question. And y'all were protesting, you were doing everything. And they have to really do some soul searching. And as I sat there and I watched the old guard and the more just Clinton team just sit there, and then at the same time I heard the Bernie folks cheering, and I didn't think it was totally appropriate. But I mean, this is like a football game. I mean, this is the Super Bowl.
What wasn't totally appropriate?
I mean, people cheering in the middle of people speaking. This is the Super Bowl of politics. Come on, y'all. Hey, you've never been heckled? I haven't. Not exactly, but maybe once. But you know what I'm saying? Not like this, but it happens. So sorry, y'all. That means you haven't done enough to reach out. If you haven't reached out to people and they feel like you don't give a shit, that's what you get. Right, it's on you. The onus is on the person who's trying to lead to go out and reach for it. And I believe that, and that's what we still work.
I'm relieved to hear that from the other.
Yeah, for real, I'm true to it. I mean, I'm not happy. I mean.
All right, there's no way this is going to work, but I was.
We'll go to the back. We have our own station.
All right, so
this is the SIPTA.
I will likely be cut off soon, but we're gonna.
battery?
No signal in the subway.
Oh, okay.
But I want to see what we can do here. All right. So I'm going to ask you, Hillary.
I'll be surrounded by Bernies.
You're a congressman in Killer Mike's district.
I'm gonna put mine on too. I don't do
I'll give you. It's going to cut off. So
okay. Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, mine is on too. Okay.
So, all right. So you're a congressman in Killer Mike's councilman in Killer Mike's district in Atlanta. So, what is your perspective of walkout and the booing, and what is your perspective of that?
Hey, it's all fair in this business. I mean, everything happens in politics, and the fact that some people walked out and they didn't want to be a part of the process at that moment, it means you're supposed to go out and ask them, hey, can we have another conversation? That's how I feel about it. I mean, some votes you can't win, but that's just right then.
What about?
I've had people mad at me, and then 2 years later, like, I'm glad you kept working on me, and we sat down. I didn't agree with this one, but I agree with you on this, and I'm glad we have a relationship, because that's what needs to happen is the relationship building, just human relationships. It's not about any of the other stuff. Start with having rapport and trust and dialogue. Then you get into issues, but we can't even get there because the folks who are on the winner side, and I'm not going to say his side, but really are the ones who need to, we got to reach out. Like, I'm doing a party for all my Bernie friends.
So what about
because that's what you're supposed to do when you really want to be inclusive and you really want people to be a part. You can't just like throw it away. I'm not with that kind of politics.
What about, hold on, I really want to ask this question.
Sure.
The booing of Elijah Cummings. And they weren't booing Elijah Cummings.
They were booing the
platform and what he
and
was
that was
talking
unfortunate. I like him. I think he's a sharp guy. And he has something to say.
That.
So it would have been fair. It would have been better if they would have given him a chance, for his point to get off. But by the way it was lined up, sometimes that happens on programs. We get the luck of the draw, and you happen to be the one who walks out. I don't think it was about him.
I spoke to him in private.
And I feel sorry that his moment didn't happen then, but we'll never forget his name. And more than likely, he'll get much more time to shine in a different kind of way going forward. So if you had a chance today, Mr. Cummings, what would you say?
So
it's probably what 10 talk shows will give him a chance to do.
I spoke
to him. That'd be interesting.
I spoke to him. He was like viscerally angry.
Yeah.
And how disrespectful it was.
And I understand.
And yet maybe it was. Maybe it was. I'm not arguing that. But what's behind it? And in any protest movement, the action might be disrespectful. But what is the history? What is the history behind that protest? And I would think that someone, I honestly must say, Mr. Cummings, someone in the African American rights movement, I would think should be able to understand it.
Yeah. So what I have seen in the right and the left has really been, people feeling disenfranchised by the way when they discover what our country really is. Okay, people have known for a long time, but it's like everybody's coming together. Like, yeah, that's not right. That's not right. And then there's people on the right who are in Georgia and the South and all over who also are figuring out that they're not getting a piece of the pie. And that it's really been this elite group, sometimes Democrats, sometimes Republicans, who've had a lot more say and influence. And it kind of washes at the top. But when you're at the bottom, if you're poor white and you live in Appalachia, you're not getting a fair share, just like if you're poor black in urban America.
That's my
same place, this isn't a new conversation. So that's the part that I think people are leaving out. They're assuming that there's all this privilege going around, and as I'm digging deeper, I'm almost certain it's not.
Do you know what my people say to me? I live in a 96% Caucasian district that is poor.
Yes.
And when they hear people talk about white privilege, and to be clear, it is real.
I'm not. But not for every
But when
white
they hear the
person.
word, they look at it and say, "Who's privileged?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not privileged. Like, I'm living in a trailer, paycheck to paycheck. Someone lost their job. My truck barely makes it to work. Like, the language that we use matters.
Yeah.
We have to talk about it. But
it's an economic divide that's even stronger
and more
than
unified.
it's a whole other kind of thing that's going on, and that people are like, wait a minute, I don't have anything. So the same kids in my community who go and take cell phones when they discover that can pay for a lot for their little brother and little sister to eat, and they take your cell phone. The same families who live in trailer parks are feeling like, wait a minute, I'm outside of I don't have that. I don't have anything to eat either. So poverty and us addressing that and acknowledging its reality is something that still we haven't done in this country. And that's, my father worked with Dr. King, and Dr. King spoke about that as, right before he was assassinated, how we are not dealing with the real things in this country. And it's been 50 years.
Yeah.
So the outreach, so I'm not in charge of this, but I feel like there's a need for some leadership, and I'm willing to be a part. So whenever I get a chance to have this kind of conversation, I have it, and I don't have talking points. Nobody's like telling me what to say. I'm speaking from my heart. I'm going to reach out to all 13 million, and say, look, y'all, let's figure out what we can do, because we still need more elected officials. We still need positive policies to be passed and to actually be implemented in governments, from school boards to city councils, town districts, all the way up. And we know we get more done at the local level anyway. This is where the power is. So, sure.
I feel like not the integrity, it was the authenticity argument that's made against.
I don't know all these arguments either, y'all.
Well,
tell me now.
Like how Hillary was inauthentic. She came off kind of overly polished and overly practiced. And Bernie was just like, I don't take lessons from anyone about how to hold my hands or how to speak. I'm just myself. And he came out and he connected with people and made those relationships almost in a subconscious way, like without trying, right? And so that's, I think, why for a lot of us we believed that he was the person that could bring unity to the country, not just the party, because he was pulling a lot of independents and moderate Republicans. And so I think that when we, as Bernie supporters, saw that the party was not supporting Bernie, we got upset because we felt like the Democratic Party was taking a huge risk on Hillary, because she doesn't have that at the tip of her fingers like Bernie does. So I think a lot of us believe that he could have brought a lot of peace at a very troubled time, and he could have saved a lot of lives.
So I hear you on the lack of the emotional connection on the instant.
And that's something you can't fake.
Yeah, you can. And you know, and I know her. I don't know her like we hang out, but I supported her back to 2008. So I have been around her a lot. And you know, oftentimes you walk into these rooms and you're dealing with the challenge of whatever people are giving you as your script, or you're writing as your script, and you're trying to be prepared, and you've been, you know, attacked, or you're dealing with the pain of, you know, trying to connect, and it's really hard at 08 for sure for her. Just make sure we don't miss. Okay.
Ours is the last stop.
Oh, okay. I haven't done it yet. This is my first time. I've been waiting to do this because this is the best route there, it seems. But so I think that connection is necessary. But what I know about our friends, family on the right is
That's kind of easy.
They think he's authentic
Right.
too.
I'm being honest.
But hold that. One of his appeals is they feel he's authentic.
But they do. They know he's authentic.
They know he's authentic.
However, they have an alternative right now, and that's the problem. Okay, if Trump were not in the race, then it wouldn't be the same conversation. But the fact that he is in the race and he's appealing in technically a staged manner, but it comes off as extremely authentic because he's professional. He's good at it. So he is giving the authentic emotional connection, and he draws people. He's drawn all this group in, and their numbers are stronger because think about it. The right didn't want him. The leadership establishment didn't want him, but he overthrew them.
He was their anti-traditional candidate.
And he overthrew them. So the fact that
Somehow so was Bernie.
we
should have run two of them against each other, is my personal opinion.
I think the polls would agree with you.
Yeah, I feel you. But the challenge is there was no. If I were doing the Bernie team, I would have the passion and the organizing, the strategy. Man, I'm giving y'all like double high five.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
Bernie,
like killed it. I mean, like nailed it, and left people wondering what even happened. And I saw it happening, but I couldn't. You can't tell the big campaign people what to do.
Self-consistent narrative is very important. Platform, every issue that you talked about fit together systemically and in a cohesive, single story that can be followed and everyone can get their heart into.
It went like that. But the other folks couldn't. Their pieces don't add up to make the numbers on the more establishment side of the party. Okay. The numbers there are how many million?
Which party are you talking
A Democratic Party. Democratic Party.
Okay.
So the numbers are a little higher. So I don't think some of I had a lot of friends who were rooting for Bernie. Okay, they were. Okay, a lot of friends. But at the same time, they weren't sure, and this is where he made a mistake. He needed to pivot because of the reality of this business. And say, I'm going to do this 20% less on the narrative, and say, here's my practical play.
But how do you pivot?
Okay, in the system. So you know, you work in government. You're elected. Who's elected? So when you're elected, and you get down on a decision, sometimes you have to say, okay, look, some are non-negotiable. But then at certain times you have to say, you know what, this is not perfect. It's not lipstick on a pig, but it's not perfect enough as I would like it. But today we need to deal with it.
But how do you
So he didn't have that piece in the equation at the time, fast enough.
But how do you pivot when you're a person that your word is your bond?
Being word is bond is important, but still being able to pivot is something you have to. It's a pragmatic thing.
You know how I viewed it though? The pivot happened in Congress, like the veterans bill with McCain.
Okay.
He had a pure vision.
Okay.
McCain had a pure vision.
Well,
they worked their
so
way
maybe
to
it wasn't him.
a bill.
It's not necessarily the person. It maybe what I'm saying
So I
is the
think Hillary
team.
is telling us her vision.
No. Listen. I think the team, though. So let's leave him out. So you have the candidate.
Right.
You have the team. The team was equally as single focused, which was powerful like a laser. But if you needed to split it, there was no way to split it a little bit to turn it. You couldn't bend it.
No nuance.
Yeah, there was no nuance.
Right, I
And the nuance that someone in the team should have been saying, if I were doing it over, oh man, wait a minute, y'all, wait a minute. We're going so fast on this train, we're running into a wall. At 100 yards out, we've got to it's not a lot. It's just turn it a little bit at 100 yards, going 100 miles an hour will end up taking you slightly away.
You know what's interesting?
You see what I'm trying to say?
Today we were talking about persuadable voters and the new voters.
That's right.
Bernie was so successful in pulling in the new voters, and I think this is a fair argument.
That's right.
That they didn't need to focus as much on moving the persuadable ones because he was gaining so many numbers.
And nobody
people
wanted
coming
to
the party.
persuade people. Nobody wanted to
I see
persuade
the merit to that argument.
No Bernie team member no Bernie team member really came to me and presented a case. It was kind of like, if we don't get it, then there's something wrong with it. So there was a little bit of, to me, intellectual arrogance. And I'm just saying, on the ground. Because my friends, when I saw who was Bernie, they were like, no, I'm Bernie. And I was like, all the smart people I love were there. But they never came and said Kwanzaa. Don't make me read it. Come and sit down with me and say, Kwanzaa, look, these are 4 points. We want you to understand this, and here's why we think you. And you lost the persuasion point, right? So, and that could have been 20% more or 30% more. And then once you get that much, what happens? Momentum. You have the snowball effect, and they start selling for you, but you never had a salesman in that community. You didn't convince the salesman. So if I want to sell in your neighborhood, I want to sell a product, what do? I come get you.
I'm thinking about conversations in the primary.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of.
It was never trying to convince. It was we gonna win with people with us.
Right.
Not peel off. Don't peel off. Y'all weren't trying to peel off Hillary people. You weren't peeling us off. This is all strategy. No one peeled off. So if I want to do something in your neighborhood,
I don't think a lot of Hillary people peeled off Bernie.
They never did. So the sheer numbers, people generally go status quo, and that's all it really had to. Except for the 5 of us, and then everybody like, why don't y'all get what we're saying? We're going out this door. Y'all can all rush out of that door. Why are we going? Because it's the closest one. But everybody still does their. And if you start convincing them, then they'll come this way. But no one ever did that.
Since we're about to approach,
we just walked out the door.
Since we're about to approach, why don't you say your name one more time?
Kwanzaa Hall, man, City Councilman for District 2.
And you are in Killer Mike's district, right?
Killer Mike is in my district.
Killer Mike.
Here's my homeboy, though. Swag Shop is in District 2.
I appreciate it.
No, this is good.
Really
Mike,
appreciate talking to you.
I'm calling you, man. You were supposed to be back here at the convention. Because he left, right?